Good afternoon, NFT London. It's nice to see you all here today, and thank you very much for coming along. Thank you very much. Brilliant. I think we really want to take this opportunity to come here today and talk about something that's really, really important to everyone in this room, otherwise you wouldn't be in the room, and that is kind of sustainability focused as well. So Michele has come here today. I'm going to introduce her shortly, but just to introduce myself first, I'm Pete Hill. I'm the VP of Kudos, and we want to talk about how we can not just use NFTs, but tokenization. Just like the previous speaker said, it's really just a vehicle, right? This is just the protocol. We don't have to label it as NFTs. We don't have to label it as tokenization necessarily. But using this kind of Web3 technology to see how we can reverse the human impact of global warming, but not just global warming. We're talking about deforestation. We're talking about other things that we've really made an impact on in the last 200 years. And by the way, that impact started here in the UK 200 years ago with the Industrial Revolution. So I feel like we're all responsible to make that change. I'm not going to talk a lot about Kudos today. I really want to kind of just shine a light and have a look at how beautiful our planet is here and from the night sky. But just over here, and just look at the difference between June and July. This is absolutely crazy. All right, so we're getting hotter summers, we're getting longer summers, and they're becoming more and more frequent. And whilst it might be nice for a few weeks, the impact that we're seeing here in the UK is half the impact that's being seen elsewhere in the world. So we know that we've got to make some change because it's us as humans that's accelerated this, so we've got the ability to be able to accelerate that change as well. So just a caveat, I'm not a scientist, okay? I'm just like you. I like to live in a warm house. I like to take holidays. I've probably got a new phone in my pocket just like everyone else has here. We're all kind of the same in that respect, but we do all share a collective belief, and that is that we can make some change, and we've got the opportunity to do that in the ways that we know. And the ways that we know as Kudos is, as a technology company, how can we make an impact there? So just a very quick brief, we are a decentralized cloud computing player. We launched very recently, and we want to create a sustainable way to be able to consume cloud. So everyone in this place, no one's actually talking about the computing infrastructure they require, but everyone in this room and all the great and wacky projects that are downstairs below are all using it for metaverse nodes or rendering NFTs or whatever that may be. So this is only going to grow. Intel said that we need about 1,000 times more compute before the end of the decade. It's a huge amount, and we all know that cloud computing is one of the dirty industries in terms of its carbon output as well. So we're changing that by working and really distributing out things to available computing power that exists today. 70% of the carbon footprint of a new server is actually before it's turned on in the data center. It's mining it out of the ground, it's logistics, it's actually manufacturing it. I've lost my trail of thought, but it's all going great. And we're working with renewable server farms, et cetera, et cetera. But that's great. We can make a difference in the way that we know, and that's creating that infrastructure for people to build on. But now it's time to really kind of bring that ecosystem together and find those builders and creators that are creating those applications on top that's going to carry on that trend and have a real kind of intrinsic value. So I'm delighted to invite, this is a very different stage to how we saw this, by the way. We thought we were going to bouncing around and running up and down and stuff, so I've lost my trail of thought, that's why. But very excited to invite my dear friend, Michele, here today. Michele is the co-founder of Blue Green World, and I think they're doing some awesome stuff. So I'm going to shut up and pass the mic.
Well, thank you. My name's Michele Robson. I'm the co-founder of Blue Green World. We're trying to create, and we're succeeding, new nature-based economies, tradable certificates to be traded on regulated exchanges around the world. So we're really giving nature a value. I'm really, really honored to be here, and thank you, Pete, for organizing this today. I really wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my colleagues. As I said, I'm a co-founder. There are others of us, and we work with governments, we work with businesses, we work with local communities and NGOs, and we value nature. We give nature a living value. And really, I feel that everybody here today in the room, I have to explain a little bit about my background. I've lived for the last decade in Africa, and being in Africa, I've seen firsthand the results of climate change. which have been quite frightening. I've seen war. I've lived in a civil war in Cameroon for the last 4 years. And that really motivated me to try and create solutions whereby we could bring prosperity through protecting nature. And this is what we have done. Have we got the next? Yeah. So we're really creating nature-based economy for a sustainable world. And how we do that, we value nature and we value the ecosystem services, carbon being the entry point. But as we all know, we're all experiencing biodiversity loss. Every week, every day, another species on our planet goes extinct. I started my life in conservation back in, 15 years ago, and then 10 years ago in Cameroon doing guerrilla conservation. I saw firsthand the desperation of people, the things that people do when they're desperate for food, when they're desperate to send their children to college. And I vowed over the last years, especially during the COVID years, that I would make a difference. I reached out to a very, very respected guy, Ralph Shami, who's the Assistant Director of Capacity Development at the IMF, and he, much to my surprise, responded. He had developed a paradigm, a new paradigm, a way of giving nature a value. And this was 3 years ago. And then everybody sort of looked at and thought we were a little bit crazy, trying to give nature a living value. So living nature is now acknowledged by the World Bank, by the IMF itself, and supported by the European Bank and many institutions around the world as having a greater value now living. Because what price do we put on the survival of humanity? And we need nature in order to survive. Our oceans are very, very polluted, and with the restoration of nature and the creation of nature-based economies, we have a chance at survival, and it's the right thing to do. So we're looking to protect the fragile ecosystems of the world by creating these financial vehicles to unlock their natural capital. I feel that it's the right thing to do. It's something that I feel everybody in this room can contribute to in one way or another. It is important, and we utilize NFTs, we utilize the blockchain. Everything that we do that we need to grow has to be measured. And the measuring of this is essential, it's critical to utilize tokenization. We utilize tokenization both in the payment of the stewards of nature on the ground. We utilize tokenization and we utilize Web3 and NFT and the metaverse in training people. And it is really a revolution. I think it's the dawn of a new age of awareness, and it's also the dawn of a new age of using tech for good. I think the best tool that we have for survival is nature. But we need to measure, we need to support that, and we need to communicate that through technology. So we're very, very lucky today that we have the technology in order to support that within the Web3 community. So by using Web3 and blockchain technology to safely monitor and transfer funding into projects that support UN Sustainable Development Goals, which are underpinned by verified data, and this confirms and enables the protection of known keystone species, flora and fauna, and it's working. So we hope that into 2023, we're going to see, and you will see after COP27, which is happening almost right now in Sharm el-Sheikh, you will see governments across the world, organizations across the world like Microsoft and other large organizations integrating and supporting the restoration of nature through investing in nature, through investing in local communities, and the creation of endowment funds on the back of these certificates that will support that in perpetuity forever. So how it works. Basically, we are able to do scientific assessments. We rely on science. We rely on the local NGOs on the ground. So we know that through these creations of markets, and at the moment there are many voluntary markets, but what we're trying to do is create regulated markets whereby we can adapt and fast-track the restoration of our planet at sovereign level as well as at local level. We enact policy Policy is very important. That's the changing of laws and regulations to protect animals, to protect wildlife. And this is happening across the world. Progress has been slow over the last decade, but after COP27, I believe it'll be rapid. We engage and restore ecosystems, and both terrestrial and marine ecosystems, and we engage with local communities. Local communities are the core of everything that we're doing. They're able to monitor, they're able to protect, and we hope to create micro credit systems on the back of this, which will lead into people being able to go into banks eventually that never had access to funding, and economies will rise. The hope is that from where there was only sort of third world economies, the creation of certificates will enable those third world economies, as they protect their nature, to trade on an equal basis with first world countries. We will be establishing wealth funds, sovereign wealth funds, and other wealth funds to protect the local indigenous people, to protect their property rights. We don't want to see organizations coming in and abusing, misguidedly often, but buying up those portions of land which should be retained in the hands of the local people. By creating these endowment funds, we can ensure that the local people can run their own communities and protect nature for perpetuity. We want the transparency, and the blockchain provides this. We're very, very keen to have a commitment from everybody and everyone. So we utilize as much as possible organizations like QEii, because we know that they are the only people that we've assessed are doing this in a very sustainable way. We need to have sustainable solutions to blockchain and Web3. It's so important that everything that we do around the sustainability of our planet is the kindest and the healthiest solution. How it works, basically, if you look at the drawing up here, you can see that we look to science first. Science is then financed because the science quantifies the ecosystem services of both the living natural capital assets, whether that's a mangrove forest, whether that's a pod of whales in the ocean, and we monitor that and we feed that back to the markets. The law has to change. Obviously, we don't want whaling. We don't want people going and randomly killing elephants or gorillas in the wild. This will all stop because countries have a hidden treasure that they haven't yet discovered. Some are waking up to that, and they're putting in laws to protect that. We work with governments. Governments prosper, the local people prosper, the animals prosper, nature prospers, communities prosper, and it's a virtuous economic circle. I really feel as though we're at the dawn of a new age of nature-based economies. Every single one of us has a duty to act and a duty to think and talk and act responsibly. And I feel that, at the end of the day, each one of us can seriously make a difference. Ralph Chamy is the inventor of the new paradigm. Ralph worked at the IMF for more than 25 years. I'm very proud to say he's my co-founder at Blue Green World. His work has tackled two of the greatest risks to humanity. One is climate change caused by humanity. The other is biodiversity loss. He developed a model for valuing natural capital, including blue and green nature, as well as flora and fauna, and a framework for developing natural capital markets and ecosystem services. His work is groundbreaking. He literally has realized the value of the natural world, and he has integrated that into an economic system. Ralph's work has literally brought about the realization globally on a larger scale of the possibility of survival through nature-based economies. It's been a pleasure to talk with you today, and if there are any questions, we'd be more than happy to.
I think but before we go,
okay.
before there's any questions, I just want to say that it's amazing. Like everything we've been doing within this space over the last, starting with blockchain and tokenization and coming on to NFTs, has just given us this huge opportunity that we can't miss out on. This is our chance to really make a change with the technology that we've all been pushing and enthusing about downstairs. And there's a place for art, and there's a place for sustainability, and there's a place for everything that we're creating. But, using that for positive change is really, really important.
I really believe that. And I really believe if you all look deep inside yourselves, we know that we have to have oxygen to breathe. 80% of the world's oxygen comes from the oceans. And I'd just like to say, in the words of Captain Paul Watson, the founder of Greenpeace, if you take nothing away from today, just remember that when the oceans die, we die, humanity dies, and that's something that we can prevent. So let's start being kind to each other first, and that will permeate. And we're at the dawn, literally, of a groundbreaking, critical time for humans and the planet, and all of us can make a difference. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.